Okay, welcome back. In this part we're going to discuss the bridges of the Flaxwood guitars and how to adjust them. First off, here we have the tunematic bridge, the fixed bridge of the Flaxwood guitars. Very straightforward, you've seen it 1,000 times before on other guitars, so nothing new or fancy about this setup, works like a charm. To raise or lower the bridge, of course, you put your screwdriver on each of the side of the posts and just raise or lower the bridge. On this specific LR Bags model, you have to take the bridge off and raise and lower it from the underneath, which is a different approach from LR Bags, but with regular go-to tuners, which are the standard, which comes with Flaxwood guitars, you can do it from the top side instead. The stop tail, usually people just bolt these down into the body as hard as you can, or not as hard as you can, but fixed to the body to help guide vibrations down into the body as itself to make the guitar resonate better and have longer resonation and sustain. Just make sure you don't tighten it too much down so that the angle of the string over the tunematic part is too steep, because you don't want the string to touch the back side of the actual metal here. On a flat angled Flaxwood guitar such as this, that won't ever happen. But if you have the tilted headstock, which is more like the Gibson tilt of headstock, if you have a really high string height, like say you want to play a lot of slide and stuff, and lower this too much, make sure that this doesn't happen, because that will not only cause noise and buzzing from the strings back here, but can also cause the strings to break over this edge back here. So make sure you're not doing that. So basically that's it with the bridge, with the tunematic bridge. You should always set truss rod relief before you actually set your desired string height. So we will cover that in the truss rod relief and string height section of it, but that's just the mechanics of the tremolo. It's very straightforward. So then let's go on to check the other Flaxwood tremolo we have, which is the shallower floating Les Paul tremolo. I took it out of the guitar just to be able to show you the back and front of it and explain the functions of it. So this is pretty much exactly the same as this setup. We have two parts. The front part of this tremolo here then correlates to the front tunematic part of this bridge, and the back part, the moving part, where the strings are inserted and the tremolo arm goes, then corresponds to the tunematic part, the stop tail part here. The only thing is, like, we've taken this up from the guitar, assembled it towards the tunematic part and made it movable. So really nice drop-in replacement for this type of tremolos. So as you can see here, we have roll saddles, individual ones. These are not adjustable by height as with any tunematic. So this is also set to the 12-inch radius of the Flaxwood guitar, so you don't have to worry about that at all. Then let's take a look on the back side of the tremolo. You can see two metal tongues here and some springs in the middle here. This works like any other tremolo, floating tremolo. You have knife edges on this side that goes into grooves on the other side, and the tremolo is supposed to be completely flat and balanced to be able to float back and forth to a good degree. The back pieces here are just to have sort of a backward stop for the tremolo, so that it doesn't fall out of the sockets and damage the knife edges and such. So, and the springs here are of various tension, and you can have up to 5. You can have thinner or thicker springs. This is to balance out the string tension of the guitars. If a Flaxwood guitar has 010, 09, 011 strings, they will have various degrees of string tension. The string will pull this part of the tremolo towards the neck. Then you have to balance that out with the appropriate springs back here. So when you get it from factory, it's set up for 010 strings, so it shouldn't be a problem at all. But if you want to change to higher tension strings like 011, 012, whatever your preference is, or lower, then you need to readjust this part. This is not something I would recommend that you try to do yourself, because adding a spring or two isn't a problem, but changing the whole thing can be tricky if you don't have the right tools. So I encourage you to hand in the guitar to a Flaxwood luthier or your regular guitar salesman that has people knowledgeable in working with this kind of mechanics. So another thing that might happen if the springs and the string tension aren't in balance, you might end up with this angle where the Flaxwood tremolo tilts slightly backwards. Then what might happen, if I take out the old string I used in the previous segment and show you here, the string then goes through the backside of the tremolo like so and goes over the roll saddle like so, okay? When the tremolo is in line, that's just working nice and fine, but if the angle becomes too tilted backwards, the actual edge here where the string protrudes from the back piece and goes over the roll saddle might, protrude upwards, thus having the wound part of the string here near the bowl end break over that edge, going back and forth until it breaks. With the thicker strings like that, that's usually no problem, but if you're using like a 010 high E string, that can eventually break over the winding there. And if you have problem with string breakage on tremolo like this, always check the balance. Is the tremolo perfectly balanced? If it isn't, well, that's most likely your problem right there. But if the tremolo is in balance and everything else is seen to working fine, then you might have to look for the problem in like wear and tear in the roll saddles or things like that. And if you're not sure what you're doing, then just hand it in to your local Flaxwood luthier or guitar salesman and they can remedy that for you. The same thing here goes for raising and lower the string height. You raise and lower it by the posts that are inserted here, which the tremolo then sits upon. So, and that's it about the shallow Les Paul tremolo. Very simple but yet very effective construction. And together with the Goda tuners on top and the good top nut, the guitar stays in tune very, very well.